Ubisoft wants you to rent your games.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
In an interview with GamesIndustry.biz, Ubisoft's director of subscriptions made the concerning statement, gamers need to get comfortable not owning their games in order for subscription services to take off, when asked about Ubisoft's new Ubisoft Premium and Ubisoft Classic subscription services. Whilst discussing the topic, Tremblay also stated, gamers are used to, a little bit like DVD, having and owning their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They've gotten comfortable not owning their CD or DVD collections. That's a transformation that's been a little slower in games. Now, it really shouldn't be a surprise to Ubisoft that consumers like to own the products that they pay for. It's not a good look for Ubisoft, even if you're fully on board with the idea of streaming your games. It's a large, profitable company looking for ways to become even more profitable. Between 2021 and 2023, Ubisoft generated 1.8 billion euros in sales. And quite interestingly, during the previous fiscal year, approximately 85% of Ubisoft's sales were digital. And when you have that information, it's not really difficult to see where their motivation stems from. Reduce production costs and lock players into a subscription model in its place. For a large dev to be looking at the industry from this perspective is concerning, and it is a perspective that is entirely rooted in maximising profits and profits alone. Instead of buying a physical product that you can hold in your hands, a product that will remain in your possession for as long as you want it to, Ubisoft instead wants consumers to give up that control and ownership. Now, I know that a lot of people buy their games digitally these days, but that is not the point. Currently, you as the consumer have the choice. If the industry as a whole decided to go all in on this idea in the future, the choice is no longer yours. I'm not opposed to subscription services such as PlayStation Plus or Xbox Game Pass. In fact, I think Game Pass is fantastic value for money, with its vast library of games and low price point. My issue is that if Ubisoft wants subscription services to be the only way, then this poses a whole host of issues for the consumer. You have to remember, Ubisoft does not want to do this to provide the consumer with a better service. Ubisoft is playing with the idea because they know it is more profitable. Game preservation. In order to play a game, any game, you would need to be connected to the internet at all times. No internet, no video games. If the servers fail, no video games. And bear in mind that this means all games. Single player, multiplayer, doesn't matter. Imagine not being able to play God of War, or Little Nightmares, or Goat Simulator, or even Ubisoft's new Prince of Persia, a game that looks fantastic, I have to say, and I am looking forward to playing. Imagine a world where you can't experience single player games like that, all because the associated servers are down, or because your router is having a moment. It being a subscription service also means that you are stuck paying that monthly fee for as long as you want to own that game. Otherwise, any games associated with that service are unplayable, and presumably you would need multiple subscription services at once, because your library of games would be divided. Luckily for us, not all devs are on board with the idea. When asked in an interview about the Ubisoft statement, the CEO of Larian Studios, the makers of Baldur's Gate 3, stated that while he is not against subscription models, he is opposed to them becoming the dominant model for delivering games. Vink also said, if subs become the dominant model, it will be a lot harder to get good content. He went on to say, subscription models will always end up being a cost-benefit analysis exercise, intended to maximise profits. He also made an excellent point, that subscription service preferences would be the deciding factor in which games get made. Now, if we look at Hellblade 2 for a second. Now, if you remember Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, the game was heralded for being a fantastic piece of storytelling. Now, Hellblade 2, much like the first game, is a short experience, around 8 hours. But Hellblade 2 is digital only. It's digital only and it's $50 unless you have Game Pass. And the point that I'm trying to make here is Hellblade 2 highlights the dangers of games being developed with subscription services in mind. It is definitely a slippery slope. I like that the game is a short, story-driven experience, but it's a lot of money for an 8-hour game that is digital only. And Game Pass was clearly a big influence on the devs' decision to go down this route. So, while I don't think that this is an immediate issue for consumers to be concerned with, I do think that this is something that we may have to bear in mind in the future. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing. Good night, sub, peace.